He held Emily's hand as they walked along a narrow path by the cliff under the quiet starry sky. Emily smiled softly, trusting her husband with all her heart. She had no idea that he was planning something terrible. John kept a calm and gentle look on his face, hiding the dark secret in his mind. Welcome to Royal Beat Tales, a home of interesting stories. Emily was a kind and gentle woman. She loved John with all her heart and always tried to make him happy. She listened to him and never argued. To everyone else, she was the perfect wife, loyal, caring, and sweet. But John had grown tired of her kindness. In his eyes, Emily had become boring. He wanted something else, something new and exciting. John had fallen in love with another woman. Her name was Rose. Rose was bold and full of life. She made John feel young and happy again. Every moment with Rose felt like an adventure. John began to hate coming home to Emily, who was quiet and loving. He thought Emily was holding him back from a new life with Rose. John's heart had turned cold toward his wife, and a dark idea started to grow inside him. He decided that Emily needed to disappear. One day, John told Emily that he wanted to take her on a special trip. "Let's go to the cliffs by the sea," he said with a warm smile. "It will be like a romantic evening, just you and me." Emily's eyes sparkled. She was so happy that John wanted to spend time with her. She quickly agreed and even packed a small picnic basket. Emily did not know that John was leading her into a trap. As the sun set, John and Emily drove out of town to a lonely cliff by the sea. The sky turned orange and pink, and the sound of waves rose from below. When they reached the cliff, there was no one else around. It was quiet except for the wind and the distant crash of waves. John parked the car and helped Emily out. She held onto his arm as they walked toward the edge. Emily felt the cool evening breeze and sighed happily. She had no idea what John was about to do. John's heart pounded in his chest. He felt nervous, but he kept smiling so Emily would not suspect anything. His hands were sweaty as he held her hand. They stood at the very edge of the cliff, looking out at the darkening sea. "It's beautiful up here," Emily said softly. John nodded, swallowing the lump in his throat. He looked at Emily's kind face lit by the last light of day. For a moment, a memory of their happy times flashed in his mind, and he felt a pang of guilt. But then he remembered Rose's laughing eyes and the new life he wanted. His face hardened with resolve. Suddenly, John let go of Emily's hand and gave her a strong push from behind. Emily gasped, shocked and confused. She stumbled forward. Her foot slipped on the rocky edge. "John!" she cried out, fear filling her voice, but John did not reach out to save her. He watched with cold eyes as Emily tried to grab hold of something, but there was nothing there. Emily fell off the cliff, disappearing into the darkness below. Her scream echoed for a second, and then there was only the sound of the waves. John stood at the edge, breathing hard. He looked down, but it was too dark to see anything clearly. Far below, the black ocean waves crashed against the rocks. He did not see Emily anymore. She was gone. The night was silent around him. John's hands were shaking, but he felt a strange mix of fear and relief. "It's over," he whispered to himself. In his mind, Emily was gone forever, and now he was free. John quickly left the cliff and went back to the car. He noticed that Emily's picnic basket had fallen to the ground, spilling sandwiches and fruit onto the grass. John's stomach turned, but he kicked the basket aside and got into the car. As he drove back home, he tried to calm himself. He practiced looking sad in the mirror of the car, preparing for the lies he would have to tell. He decided he would say that Emily slipped and fell by accident, or that she went missing during a walk. When John arrived home alone, neighbours immediately wondered where Emily was. John put on a worried face and said, "Emily didn't come home. We were at the cliffs, and she slipped and fell. I tried to find her, but I couldn't." His voice trembled as if he was about to cry. The people in town were shocked and felt sorry for John. They all knew how loving and devoted Emily had been. It was hard for them to imagine her gone. They organised groups of people to search for Emily around the cliffs and the shore. John joined the search, pretending to call out for his wife with tears in his eyes. Inside, he felt nervous that someone might find her and learn the truth. But day after day, there was no sign of Emily. The police searched the waters and the base of the cliff but found nothing. It seemed that the sea had taken Emily away. After a while, everyone accepted that Emily was probably dead. She was officially declared missing, and a quiet memorial service was held by the town. Everyone believed it was a tragic accident. They told John it wasn't his fault, and they tried to comfort him. John acted heartbroken in front of everyone, but when he was alone, he felt happy and free. He started seeing Rose openly. In a short time, Rose moved in with him. John smiled and laughed with her, enjoying his new life. He thought he had gotten everything he wanted. Sometimes late at night, he would dream of Emily's face or hear her voice in his sleep, calling his name. Each time he woke up with a start. In the quiet darkness, his heart would race with fear and guilt. But each morning he shook off those feelings. Emily is gone, he would tell himself firmly. She can't bother us anymore. Months passed, and John lived comfortably with Rose. They redecorated the house and made new memories. John rarely thought about Emily now, except when he saw her photo tucked away in a drawer. Whenever he did, he quickly shut the drawer and pushed her memory away. He believed his dark secret was safe forever. But one sunny afternoon, there was a knock on John's front door. John was in the kitchen making tea while Rose read a book on the couch. "I'll get it," John called to Rose as he walked to the door. He opened the door expecting maybe a neighbour or the mailman. Instead, John felt his heart stop. There on the doorstep stood Emily, his wife, alive and standing strong. Emily's clothes were neat, but she had a small scar on her forehead. Behind her were two police officers. John's mouth fell open in shock. His face turned pale, and he stumbled back, bumping into a table. Rose, hearing the noise at the door, came to see what was happening. She gasped when she saw the woman who was supposed to be dead, standing in their doorway. Emily stepped forward with tears in her eyes, but standing tall. John could not believe his eyes. It was like seeing a ghost in broad daylight. "How... you..." He tried to speak, but he could not get the words out. He felt cold all over and started to shake. The police officers moved into the house and quickly grabbed John by the arms. "John Smith," one officer said firmly, "you are under arrest." The other officer pulled John's arms behind his back and put handcuffs on his wrists. John was too shocked to fight or run. He just kept staring at Emily, his mind racing. How did she survive? How did she find me? Emily watched as the police held her husband. Her eyes were sad, but they also showed how deeply hurt she was. In a quiet, trembling voice, she said, "You tried to kill me, John, but I survived." John opened his mouth to speak, but no words came out. Tears of anger and shame welled up in his eyes. It turned out that when John pushed Emily off the cliff, she was very lucky. Instead of hitting the sharp rocks, she landed in the deep water. The fall was long and it scared her terribly, but the sea broke her fall. She was hurt and bruised, but she managed to swim and cling to a piece of wood floating in the water until help arrived. A fisherman in his boat had seen someone falling and rushed over. He pulled Emily from the water, alive but shivering and in pain. The fisherman took her to a hospital, and someone called the police. Emily spent some time quietly recovering in the hospital while the police investigated. The police found that something was strange about John's story. The marks on Emily's arm and back looked like she had been pushed, not like a simple slip and fall. When Emily was strong enough, she told the police the truth. John had pushed her on purpose. The police gathered evidence and waited for the right moment to act. And now that moment had come. John was caught, and he could not escape the truth this time. Rose stepped back, covering her mouth in shock. She had no idea John had done such a terrible thing. She felt sick knowing she was living with a man who tried to murder his wife. As the officers led John away in handcuffs, he hung his head. He realized he had lost everything. His dark secret was out, and he would have to face the consequences. The neighbors soon learned the truth, and their pity for John turned to anger. No one felt sorry for him anymore. Emily stood by the doorway feeling sad but also relieved. She had loved John with all her heart, and he had betrayed her in the worst way. Now, seeing him taken away, she felt a mix of sorrow and justice. A tear rolled down her cheek, but she knew she had done the right thing by coming back to expose him. John was taken to jail to face punishment for what he had done. Rose quietly left the house, unable to stay there any longer. She gave Emily a small, apologetic smile before slipping away, not wanting to be part of the terrible situation John had created. In the days that followed, Emily received support and kindness from the community. People were amazed by her survival and her courage. Although her heart was broken by John's betrayal, she was thankful to be alive and safe. With time, Emily began to heal with the help of her friends and family. She learned that she was stronger than she ever knew. As for John, he learned a hard lesson. His cruel actions made him lose everything. He had thrown away the loyal love of his wife, and now he had nothing left but regret. In the end, the truth came out, and justice was served. Emily was safe at last, and John had to face the consequences of what he had done. Neither of them would ever forget that night on the cliff. Thanks for watching. Please comment, like, and subscribe in order not to miss our next interesting stories.